First on the agenda is roll call, moving from my right to left. Commissioner Edmond?
Here.
Commissioner Edwards?
Here.
Commissioner Gill is present. Commissioner Lates?
Here.
Commissioner Brodniks?
Here.
All right, on to the next item on the agenda, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Got a motion by Commissioner Brodniks. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Lates. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Next item on the agenda is the approval of the March 18th minutes. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Motion by Commissioner Edmond.
I was not here.
Abstained?
I'll second.
All right, second by Commissioner Brodniks. All in favor?
Aye.
Alrighty then, on to new business. 5A Climate Mitigation Plan Steering Committee discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. So tonight we're going to be discussing the Climate Mitigation Planning Phase 2. And I do have a presentation for you. If I could get that up on the screen, please. Thank you. So tonight we will be discussing the second phase, which this climate mitigation plan does serve as a complement to the 2021 climate adaptation plan that our commission here and others had put together and was adopted by our city council. And since that time, we've been looking at that adaptation plan and making modifications to our city operations and also working with our government entities such as Ramsey County on different things that we can do to prepare for the changes we're seeing in our climate. And this is the last piece to that climate action planning, which is the mitigation plan, which will help the city guide toward reduced emissions. And phase 1, you will recall, we worked on last year, which was the education and outreach. We did some outreach at our summer events, and that of course included the survey that was created as part of that phase 1. So we'd like to continue that survey and outreach in this mitigation planning process, but then additionally, the city has hired a climate consultant, Pale Blue Dot, to help us with this process. And they will be analyzing the city's greenhouse gas emissions. They'll recommend emission reduction targets, forecasts of our emission reductions. And with that, we'll put together a collaborative multi-stakeholder planning team, which is what we're here to discuss tonight. And then that planning team will help us draft the actual plan. And that plan will help the city guide towards those emission reductions on different strategies that we can take as we move forward. So the steering committee, similar to what we did with our climate adaptation plan, we're hoping to get representatives from each of our commissions: Environmental and Natural Resources, Planning, Community Design Review Board, Park and Recreation Commission, and then as well as our City Council. So getting 1 to 2 representatives from each of those commissions. We'll be hoping that some of our county counterparts can assist with this planning process, and of course our key city departments, and then additional jurisdictions such as our watershed district, which helped us with the climate adaptation plan. We'd like to see a representative from our residents as well as business, and then agencies and organizations working with vulnerable populations. So the process for creating the actual climate mitigation plan has a series of meetings and workshops that the steering committee will assist with to help guide these strategies. And it would begin June of this year, and the end result would be the creation of an actual draft plan, which would be complete by next January. And so it's basically one workshop a month in essence. And these are some proposed dates that I put together. They haven't been vetted by our consultant yet, but we'll continue to work on that. But you can see, and then the timing, I think, will be determined on the participants in the steering committee and when times will be appropriate for them. So once we have that steering committee in place, we can do, a survey to see what the times would be. Would it be at daytime, over the lunch hour, maybe early evening, or evening? So let's see. What we're looking for tonight is for our commission here, the Environmental Commission, to appoint 1 to 2 members to serve on that Climate Mitigation Plan Steering Committee. So I think we're done with that presentation, and we can move off of that and open it up for discussion.
Has there been previous, steering committees like this with a similar structure?
Well, certainly our climate mitigation plan, going way back, we did our,
Adaptation.
excuse me,
Yeah.
certainly with our climate adaptation plan back in 2021, we had a similar structure.
Okay.
And then we organized our trash hauling, and we had a trash hauling task force, we called it. So that was similar in nature. And I think for many things like this, where you're doing a large scale planning process,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to want to pull different stakeholders in.
Mm-hmm. I was just wondering, because I think I'd be interested, but just trying to gauge, and obviously it's still to be determined when those meetings might take place, because that would affect my not my interest, but my availability, obviously. So,
I would also be interested.
all right.
All right.
Any other? I see one date that might be problematic. Is that an issue?
I think that's why we might want the 2 members
Yeah.
from each commission,
Mhm.
so you could do a little tag teaming.
Yeah.
And perhaps one could be on one subgroup and the other on another subgroup,
Mhm.
because we'll focus in on different areas
Mhm.
for some of these workshops.
Yeah.
And just to be transparent, Ted Redmond, who is our environmental commissioner, is of course what is the owner?
Partner. Yeah.
Partner in Pale Blue Dot. So he'll actually be leading the charge here. So he'll be, of course, assisting us with that. Rebecca Bryan couldn't make it tonight. She didn't express. We didn't talk about the steering committee, so I'm not certain. But it sounds like we have 2 possible representatives.
Mm-hmm.
So that was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I would throw out too is there's an application for just residents, just folks, people, other Maplewood residents and such. So, I think anything, if you guys have networks, connections, email groups, neighborhood organizations, just neighbors, whatever, where you have like an email group, if you wanted to promote that, that would be really, I think, very beneficial, just getting as many people to send in their interest as possible. So if you guys are interested, I think we can get you an email link, or actually even a little email blurb with a link we can get to you guys to share with whoever you would like, or can.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Good idea. And if you wanted to discuss or had any other thoughts on members that we could tap into, especially organizations working with vulnerable populations.
Yeah.
If you had any thoughts on that now or via email after the meeting.
Maybe tap into former Commissioner Miller for that one, for some recommendations.
Yeah, that would be good.
She did say, since being on the commission here, she has been starting to work more on equity and diversity. So I think that's a very good suggestion. All right, we don't really have to make a formal motion since you've graciously offered your time, so thank you. And we'll get back to you on those proposed dates and maybe with the survey on times that might work.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So we'll be moving on now to our next subject matter, which is our 2024 work plan and environmental priorities implementation plan. So I do have a few slides here, so if I could get those slides up, please. Thank you. So you may recall we started this discussion in February, actually. But the Environmental and Natural Resources Commission establishes environmental priorities for the city in partnership with the City Council, and this is all written in your Environmental Commission ordinance, and recommends changes or new policies that control, protect, preserve, and enhance the city's environmental assets. So every year we take a look at, number one, our work plan, items that we know we're going to be reviewing over the next year, items that maybe require special review because of state regulations changing or areas we saw a need last year and are still working on, or things that might be in a contract, such as the residential recycling and trash collection annual review, which according to Tennis Sanitation and Republic Services contract, they are required to come to the Environmental Commission and the City Council to give updates on the program, including the amount of material collected, the types of materials collected, the number of residents participating in both trash, recycling, and our yard waste program, and so on. So we did hear from them on March 18th, our last meeting, and then they went to the City Council for that final review, and that was just this last meeting, which was April, excuse me, I think it's April 8th it was. So next is something that we'll be working on also in regard to recycling and trash. The contracts with both those haulers end June 30th of 2025, so a year, a little bit more than a year away. And because we are having success in the current program with no issues, the rates are keeping low, we are entertaining an extension of those contracts, still kind of in discussion whether that might be 2 years or 3 years, but just to give us more time to consider the future RFP for a contract. So we should know within the next month if those extensions will happen, and we can keep you updated on that. And then if we fall through with one or both of the contractors to attempt to extend those contracts, we would have to go out for a request for proposal for new contracts. And that would really need to start, the work would need to start right away. We've done a lot of the legwork with our consultants, Fold Infrastructure and Environment. They were hired by Ramsey County. They're their solid waste consultants, and they allow cities to tap into that consultation to work on contractual issues with our trash and recycling to make sure they're good programs. So we would start bringing some information to the Environmental Commission here in June if we did go out for that RFP, because we want to, there's things to consider, like, does the city want to purchase recycling carts similar to what we have with our trash program? We own the trash carts, but not the recycling carts. So those types of things we'd want to present to the Environmental Commission for review and recommendation. And then if we did have an RFP, we'd also put together kind of a task force that would look at those proposals. And the Environmental Commission would be involved in that. The third thing that we know we're going to be working on, of course, is the climate mitigation planning. Much of that will be taking place, with the steering committee to begin with, but we'll look to the Environmental Commission as the first review of those drafts as we move forward. And then finally, the Green Building Code, which I know we've been kind of hobbling along over the last year, but we'll take that up again in May. And this was, as you recall, chosen as something that we should look at in our participation with the new Greenleaf program, which is the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency's kind of next step to Green Step Cities, and it helps cities work on their climate actions. So we adopted the Green Building Code back in, I think it was 2013, and we have maybe a handful of buildings that have been built under that code. It does require that all buildings that are funded by the city or are owned by the city have to be built under this code, which has higher energy standards and so forth. But it's based on the International Green Construction Code, and it hasn't been updated, and we'd like to make sure that we have some electric vehicle standards in there and so forth. So that's kind of a big project, and again, we'll bring that up again in May. So you can see our table is already so full. What can we possibly do besides all that? Well, the Environmental Commission discussed this at the February meeting, and I think what I heard was that we should really focus on some recycling and food scrap education and outreach. In particular, the new food scrap program that Ramsey County has rolled out here in Maplewood beginning of last October. And we did learn that currently there's approximately 1,500 Maplewood residents that are participating in the food scrap program, the curbside collection program, which is about 10%. So, there's a lot of outreach we can do to educate other households and get them to participate in this free program and help reduce their waste and, put the food to work for us in the form of creating the end result. Of course, it's compost. So the first opportunity would be with the Waterfest event, which is just around the corner, June 1st. And I did speak to the Friends of Maplewood Nature who were here, a couple of them, on a couple of the board members were here in February to discuss some of their goals. And they'll be at this event, and they'd like to coordinate with the Environmental Commission on the booth and the ideas for outreach. I think they'll do their same the little planting project they have for the kids where the
sunflower seeds.
Plant the sunflower seed, which that can kind of play along with food scraps and recycling, the compost.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about the Waterfest here shortly. And then I thought tonight you could also discuss other opportunities for recycling and food scraps, education and outreach. We do have all the summer celebrations. We have about 4 that's put on, sponsored by, I should say coordinated by our Parks and Natural Resources Commission. We have a Touch a Truck event where actually last year, it was kind of fun. We always have our recycling and trash hauler there, with their big trucks. And it's a really popular event. All the kids love it. And the kids especially like hopping up in that recycling truck, because that's a truck that they see all the time. And then in the middle, next to the, because it was held next to the Maplewood Community Center / YMCA in that parking lot. And of course, we have a food scraps drop-off site there. So I was stationed there along with the Ramsey County representative who works on the food scrap program, so we were right in front of the food scraps drop-off program or site, and we were promoting the food scrap program, and then on either side we had the trash and recycling, so we were like right in the middle. We worked out really well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another opportunity. And, you know, we have like National Night Out, and then the other summer events that are held in the parks. So I think with that, I will just pause for discussion on any other additional outreach opportunities, or maybe I got the environmental priorities wrong and you really wanted something else. And of course, all these will be kind of outlined then in our annual report to the City Council, which we'll discuss next. So I think we're done with that presentation, and we can open it up for discussion.
I'm not too familiar with all of the events that go on, but one initial thought that I had is just, I know Waterfest is well attended, but other city events that are well attended, just so we can increase the amount of individuals that we're interacting with to promote food scraps and food, or waste and recycling.
Are you asking what
What
events?
events
are
are
they?
the best?
Okay.
Yeah, well, or most attended? Would you say?
Right. I should also mention at the spring cleanup, which was held on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
I worked with Ramsey County, and they supplied us with 200 food scrap kits. And so the big line in the beginning of the event, 8 to 10, it's usually the busiest. Our city council members, we had 3 that attended and helped with the event. They handed out those along with some Ramsey recycled tote bags and some other
Nice.
goodies. So we already started our outreach.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and that's a big event. So we have Touch a Truck, and then I think there's 2 in the parks. I'll have to get you the exact dates. And those are the big city events.
I think a touch truck continuing to do that is a great idea.
4th of July, right?
Oh, right.
Mm.
4th of
Yeah.
July, big one.
With these events, it might be not to dissolve or erode the recycling, but to do both recycling and climate mitigation. I mean, an opportunity for, hey, we want your input, we want you to know this is going on, and here's education on. I think that could happen in one booth.
Mm-hmm.
Have the ability to share both.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, does Ramsey County and or the Ramsey Washington Recycling and Waste Center, do they have content and materials that we could pillage to share? Like on the food scrap bag program and that sort of thing. Do you know if they have materials that we can just
Yeah, they do.
use?
I was just at an event for Community Expo in Woodbury, and we had marketing materials that they put together already for us. So.
Yes, you're right. So that's kind of makes it easy on us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just set something up, booth, table.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering about the National Night Out. If they have to register, don't they, with the county when they do the National Night Out? Does any of that sound familiar? Or they have to let somebody know they're doing one? Because I know there's been like a fire department has come or the police
Exactly.
have come.
Yeah.
If we could, in our own neighborhoods or in our own areas kind of get who's having one, and we could just drop off the stuff, like if we could get some of the bags and some of the marketing stuff to have for the people who are already hosting the National Nights Out to just have out with their snacks.
Right. Yeah, the residents will register, I guess, with the police and fire if they want them to attend their event.
Okay.
And then we have used those maps in the past when the Environmental Commission used to go out more often. I guess we haven't done it in a while. But we actually used to go out and distribute recycling carts, if you can imagine, before, or the bins, before we had the carts.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that we were always a hit of the party.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not storing my basketballs in those.
Yeah. That's not what they're made for.
Which is kind of what people are using them for now. But yes, absolutely. So we'll know where the parties are.
Yeah, because we could just drop
Mhm.
off. So I would be willing to help with that, is to drop off, the packages or whatever.
They used to, the police coordinate this because, of course, it is a public safety
Yeah.
night. And they used to have little goodie bags they would give the party hosts
Mhm.
with coupons for ice cream and root beer that you
Yeah.
could pick up at Cub Foods. I don't know, and then we could coordinate some items in there. So I'll look into that. I'm not sure if they're doing that this year.
Okay. I know the political people get a hold of those get a hold of those lists too, because they always seem to show up. Who's ever
Right.
running for whatever. So there has to be a list.
Yeah, it's actually published on the website.
Oh, it is?
So,
Okay.
yeah, anyone can see it.
Okay.
And then we had some discussion around recycling, especially with businesses.
Mhm.
And, we also have a good opportunity to continue or to help promote even more biz recycling,
Mhm.
which of course is coordinated by WasteWise, a Minnesota Chamber subsidiary, and it's funded by Ramsey County, and they offer free technical assistance and grants for businesses and multifamily to make improvements or to even start a recycling program. So there's a lot of opportunity there as well.
Mhm.
So I think what I'm hearing is that our environmental priorities are set and we've got a good strategy. Okay,
That's correct.
wonderful.
And did you want to ask, I'm not able to volunteer at Waterfest this year. I don't know if we want to wait till next month to talk about having the booth there, or.
We can talk about that now. I was just gonna make an announcement at
sorry.
the end, but let's do it now. Good idea. So that event is June 1st. It's a Saturday,
Mhm.
and it's from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. at Phelan Regional Park. And the Friends of Maplewood Nature will have a booth, and then the Environmental Commission will have a booth. And I do have to, there's another event going on. It's called the Landscape Revival, where they sell native plants. And I have to buy some plants for a project here at City Hall. So I can't be there, I can be there half-time. At any rate, it's a fun event.
It is.
Commissioner Edwards actually, last year, what was it that you,
It was the bee-friendly lawn.
the bee-friendly lawn, yeah.
Yes.
And you had put together some packets or what,
Yeah, some seed packets.
seed packets.
Yeah, yeah.
Blurring together after all these years, but
Right.
that was a fun one last
It
year.
was fun last year, yeah.
So I think we'll have a lot of resources from Ramsey County on food scrap.
Mhm.
We can tap into that, but anyone know that they're open and able to help out that day? Or I can of course follow up with an email.
It's a possibility. I'm still waiting to lock down some travel for business that would occur just before. But if I'm back on Friday, then I could be there. So put me on the maybe list.
Yeah, I think I can probably do it. I want to double check, but I think I'd like to do it, so.
Wonderful.
And if those folks don't work, you can put me down too. It's up in the air if I'll be in the neighboring state or not, but.
We usually try to do 2 shifts, one in the morning from like 10:45 to whatever it is,
Halfway.
1 or something.
Yeah.
And then 1 to 4.
Could put me down as well.
Yeah, I will be out of the state.
And were you ever able to confirm if anyone else was promoting the food scraps?
Oh, no, haven't.
Just because I saw recently, I think like North St. Paul, or maybe North St. Paul's always had access to it, but I know a few cities to the east have now access to it.
Right. Woodbury. Yep.
And I think Lake Elmo now. There's more.
And you know, Waterfest is in
Ramsey, Washington.
is in St. Paul,
Right.
the actual event,
Right.
and they don't have access to the curbside food scrap program yet.
Right.
And while I've never seen numbers on where people are coming from. I would imagine most people are from, it's right on the border of Maplewood,
Right.
so they're either
Yeah.
from Maplewood or St. Paul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in our education and outreach, we'll have to make sure we're also educating on other ways you can recycle your food scraps.
Mm-hmm.
But they do ask for your booth ideas, which I don't think I received that yet, so I'm not sure they know yet.
Yeah.
But they use that information to put together that passport that they have. It's kind of a fun thing for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of specialize the little questions that the person at the booth is going to ask, like, what can you do with this apple? You know, and then the kid gets a little stamp when they say, you can put in the food scrap program, recycle it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we will find out what everyone's doing. And of course, this is a celebration of clean water,
Mhm.
but any way that we can reduce our waste, recycle, you know, always helps
Mm-hmm.
with clean water.
Absolutely.
Well, wonderful. I think we have enough members here to make it a success, so thank you very much. Good idea to bring it up now. So we will move on. Oh, and then also of the 4 members that agreed to participate. Of course, we can't have subcommittees with more than 3, you know, emailing back and forth, so because of the open meeting law.
Mm.
So maybe I'll just, we'll finalize the list, because
Yeah.
maybe it sounded like some people were
Yeah, and I still have
uncertain.
to lock down travel,
Mhm.
which I expect to have settled in the next 2 weeks. So.
And we don't have to meet other than in the meetings, because we have one more meeting here in May,
Right.
so we can kind of finalize the plans there as well. All right, very good. So, Mr. Chair, do you think we're ready to move on?
I do think we're ready to move on to the next item.
Okay, excellent. So I'll start our next subject matter with a few more slides here. And this is our 2023 Environmental Commission Annual Report. So this is a report we put together every year for our city council and the community. And it is an important method of updating them on the city's environmental accomplishments and priorities. And in the Environmental Commission Annual Report, which I have in your packet for you, it's broken out into these areas. The Environmental Commission's purpose and mission goes into the membership of our commission here, which of course includes 7 members that are appointed by the city council for 3-year terms, and then also outlines that we have 1 vacancy from the resignation of Commissioner Miller. And we will start advertising for that vacancy here soon. And then it goes into our accomplishments for 2023, which, just a brief update, of course it's in your report here, but we reviewed the wetland buffer variance for 1910 County Road C, the annual review of trash and recycling, Clean Energy for All project, which was outreach to our manufactured home parks to reduce their energy burden. We began the climate mitigation planning. We did the education and outreach with our Greenleaf intern Taylor, you may recall, did a lot of that. Started on the Green Building Code, which was the one action we wanted to start as part of the Greenleaf program, the climate action. And then looked at the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant opportunity, which we'll be finalizing and submitting by end of April here. And decided on the Green Fleet Pathway, which was what we chose to use our funding for. And then finally, we outlined the work plan, which we just discussed, and the environmental priorities. So in the report, I'll include some fun pictures, when it goes to our council, and would look for your feedback on anything else, or if I got anything wrong, please let me know. So I would propose to bring this to the council. I usually like to bring it along with our Park and Recreation Commission, because we're both in the same department now. We bring it at the same time, so I'll have to see when they're prepared to bring theirs forward, but it'll be in the next month or two. And again, we would see if our chair or vice chair are available to present those annual reports during the council meeting. So I'll keep you posted on proposed dates. So with that, I will open it up to the commission for any comments, feedback, or proposed edits to this. So I think we're done with that presentation, and we can open that up for discussion.
Thank you, staff. Is there any comments, questions from the commission?
Just a question, what is the normal, remind me what the normal term limit is for commissioners for?
All the commissions hold a 3-year term.
So I remember that for my appointment, I was coming in, I believe, from a previous,
Vacation.
yeah, and so mine was a shorter limit, but Commissioner Edwards was the full term, so I'm seeing on the terms here that ours are the same, so I just wanted to make sure that was correct.
Oh, okay. So I need to take a look at your term, and then, of course, the city always offers to our commissioners the opportunity to extend. And
Of course.
we'd love to see that. So I will make sure that's correct. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, they are staggered terms for the commissions, just to ensure we don't have a turnover of a full commission.
All right. Anything else?
I'd say the report is nicely summarized.
Yes.
Nice work.
Absolutely.
It is.
I also want to add that little recycling with the Maplewood, whoever did that, that's very cool.
The sustainable Maplewood.
Yeah,
logo?
it's not a great comment on my part, but it was very cool.
No, I was thinking the same thing.
We started that, gosh, when was that? Probably 15 years ago, when the city joined on to Green Step Cities and created this environmental planner position. So it's been with us a long time. It's a fun one.
Mm-hmm. Do we need a motion on this item?
Please.
Okay. Then I would like to make a motion to approve the 2023 Environmental and Natural Resources Commission Annual Report for an upcoming City Council meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And then, I believe the next agenda item is unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Nope. Visitor presentations then is the next agenda item. Seeing no visitors.
Nope.
Do we have any commissioner presentations? No commissioner presentations. And then lastly, we have staff presentations or some oral reports. Staff?
Yes, thank you. And I do have a couple of colorful slides that are fun to look at. So the first staff presentation is the Metro Clean Energy Resource Team's annual event. So this will be held May 2nd, which is a Thursday night, and it will be in Minneapolis at the Midtown Global Market. It's a free event, and it's where you'll see a lot of staff and organizations that work on different energy opportunities. A lot of the commissions attend. I usually try to go. It's a really fun event, and it's free. So I sent you the details on registering for that, and hope that some of you can make it, if not all. But Diana McEwen of Metro Certs kind of coordinates these events, and she's got a lot of energy, and it's always a fun time. It's a great way to meet with your fellow sustainability champions and do some networking. The next item is the 2024 Environment Commissions Conference. So this, I think, is the second year that the organization Conservation Minnesota is putting this on, but they're doing a really good job at getting the environmental commissions, because there's more and more every year that cities are putting together and working on various environmental issues for each individual city, kind of bringing them all together and networking and finding out what your neighbor is doing and kind of learning from them. And so this year, it'll be held at Terrace Oaks Park, and this looks kind of fun, which is in Burnsville. And we'll be hearing from their natural resource specialist, Caleb Ashling, who will be talking about the oak savanna habitat and the restoration project there. And then moving on to kind of the social aspect, which is at Baldman Brewing in Eagan. It sounds like they have transportation between the two events, and again, it's a free event, and especially for commissioners. So I sent you that registration, and this is, I think, the night before, May 1st at 5 p.m. Wow, you're gonna have a fun week. And then finally, no, not finally, I guess, Waterfest, which is, we talked about this, but this is June 1st, which is a Saturday. It's 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's a free event for all. And this is sponsored by Ramsey Washington Metro Watershed District. So for more information on that event, to either volunteer or to attend, check out their website at rwmwd.org. And then finally, here's that Landscape Revival Native Plant Expo and Market that I know I'll be going to just to get some plants for a city project. But Carol Gurnis, you all met her, she's our natural resource coordinator. She wanted to make sure that this was announced, and here's how she describes it. It is the best source of native plants for pollinator and rain gardens all year. Several native plant nurseries come together from around the state and western Wisconsin to sell plants in one place, and educational organizations table to answer questions. It's one-stop native plant shopping. All of the plants are systemic pesticide-free. So this is held this year. I think it's a new location. It's held at Rock Point Church in Lake Elmo on June 1st, same day as that Waterfest event, from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. So that is it for my staff presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, staff. There's a lot of cool things coming up. I was thinking about attending the May 1st, 2024 Environmental Commissions Conference. If any other commissioners are interested and want to carpool, let me know. I don't think I'll be attending the event on the 2nd, but yeah. Anything else from the commission? Otherwise, I'll move on to the last agenda item, which is adjournment. All right. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Ted, or Commissioner Redmond, excuse me. Second
I'll second.
by Commissioner Yates. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjournment at 8:02.